he got to meet him at a comic book shop we go to out here. They're doing a meet and greet for Free Comic Book Day a few years back. And I had to go to work and I didn't plan very well. I should have taken that Saturday off. And I was like, oh man. So my ex took him up there and they met him, bought a Jake the Snake Funko Pop, had it autographed and brought it to me at work.
Damn.
I was like,
pretty cool.
That was pretty cool.
Lil Chef got to see Big Jake.
Oh, well, then he goes, huh? I was like, what? He goes, his face is a lot fatter since last time I saw him. I was like, we don't talk like that, buddy. He goes, he didn't bring the snake with him. I was like, nah, he's not gonna bring the snake, buddy. And he was like, good, because legit, Jake told him I feed him to kindergarten. It was when he was in kindergarten. He goes, I feed him to kindergarten. Or I feed kindergartners to him. And he's just like, what? So Jake totally played heel on him. Oh, yeah. My ex said it was awesome. She was like, he goes, I didn't know what to expect meeting a wrestler. I've never met one before. I was like, well, you met one of the scariest ones from when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Scared the shit out of me.
Met one of the realest ones.
Yeah. That's a man right there that has done some shit.
All right. Well, my part 2 of my question was going to be, that was the loudest pop. I guess you'd say Nick Gage and Britt Baker. For a person, what was the loudest pop as like an event or like something that happened, like not for a person, like let's say like a 3 count or like a pop, like a slam or something like that?
I would say probably
maybe the fork shit.
The fork got just kind of like so I guess we kind of mentioned this before we started recording a little bit. Some of the chants got muted for TV. So once you started using the fork on his head, there's a "you sick fuck" chant, right? So everybody's chanting "you sick fuck, you sick fuck," and I guess it didn't go to TV. They muted the crowd for that one.
We didn't hear that.
That chant came up a couple times because of the fork, because that fork came out 3 different times. So, but I'd say the biggest actual pop for anything that happened was probably when Britt pulled a Eddie Guerrero basically with the title.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
She threw the title to Nyla and like laid down.
Yeah.
I even popped pretty big for that.
That was cool. Yeah.
Went nuts.
Yeah.
And my brother was like, yeah, dude. And then like the switch back where Nyla like threw it back and then went to her knees like, oh no. That was great too, because we all went, oh. So I realized also when you're, I guess you don't really realize this until you're watching it. Sometimes, when they say wrestlers are telling a story, right?
Yeah.
But you have the commentators there basically spoon feeding you in WWE what's going on.
What to say, yeah.
What to say, this and that. I will say this. When you're there and you can't hear the commentary and you're wondering what's going on in a match, they are telling a story. I'll say that. It is, and if something doesn't make sense, you can tell. Like even my brother at one point goes, so they're working this arm. And he's like, they keep attacking the arm. Is that a thing? I was just like, okay, you're picking up on a story element there, buddy. Yeah, that's part of the gimmick here is they're going to work on this arm and probably go for like some type of tap out or something like that. Like some type of
That's her strategy. It's the game plan.
Yeah. So he was just like, okay, cool. And then I would tell him different things. Like he'd be like, I don't understand what just happened. I was like, oh, no, I'd have to explain it. But I'm also explaining it to him, buddy Josiah, who was having a blast. He was just like, I haven't done anything like this in forever. I was like, all right. And then trying to explain stuff to Little Chef, and I'm like, yeah, trying to keep up at the same time. But it was a ton of fun. I'll say that. I recorded myself at the beginning. Right when the fireworks were going off for Dynamite. I'm excited. We're all like, yeah. And then I wasn't expecting Jericho to come out first. Right. So I popped the loudest for that. And you can actually see it. I might try to post it one more time or something, but I popped the loudest for that. And you can actually see it in my face. I'll go back and watch it a couple times a day now, just to kind of pop myself because I start smiling. So I'll pull it up and you can see it in my eyes. And I'm like, oh, it's Jericho. So we start singing along. And I told my brother, hey, everybody sings along with Jericho's theme song, right? So Little Chef didn't get to learn it in time. So he couldn't sing along, but he was excited. I'll say that. But the music cuts and we're still singing along, and you can see Tuna looking around like, this shit's nuts. Like he looked at me and he goes, at one point he just looked at me and he goes, this is awesome.
Yeah, for someone that's who doesn't really watch wrestling or doesn't know what wrestling's all about, it's a different experience, because this is how I explain it to people who don't watch wrestling. You don't have to get into the wrestlers and their fights and their stories, but you just watch it as an event. Think about this. People watch those, dancing shows. What is that? It's a choreographed dance that they practice for a week and then they do like a 2.5-minute performance.
Yeah.
These guys do the same thing where it's a choreographed move. Sure, like the outcomes, like it's a story, they're telling a story, but now they're also athletic.
Yeah.
They got to take care of each other, not be injured, because an ankle could twist, you could slip and fall off the ropes. There's sweat, anything could happen, and that's why it's like people don't respect it enough.
Yeah,
it gets a bad rap. And I was like, dude, if you're not a wrestler, like you're not a wrestling fan, just watch it as appreciate what they're doing, because nobody can.
Exactly. And then just some of the stuff that you see them do, like Darby Allin.
Oh man,
like you see him on TV. Yeah.
I fear for that kid's life. He's younger than me,
dude. What is he, like late 20s?
I think he's like 26, 27.
Gosh, I look at him going, in my late 20s, I wouldn't have done half the stuff he did. And I tried. I've taken truss dives off of second story balconies in the snow. Just dive over the rail and hope you don't hit the fence down there. But this dude's nuts. So he does a spot where Wheeler kind of takes his leg out from under him and he kind of falls back onto the turnbuckle from the top.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It was a lot scarier. So I went back and watched the episode. It did not do it justice on TV, how scary that was. And everybody was like, ooh. Like, and then when Orange Cassidy takes a damn dive off the top rope during his blade match, I was like, fuck, dude. They're going to kill him. I'm just like, these guys are insane. They don't care. And I'm like, you're young and you think you're going to bounce back.
Yep.
Now, if I stub my toe, it's broken. It's going to stay that way.
Yeah. We can't do that. They're also, I guess, once you get used to the pain of, like, just falling and being hurt like that every week, it doesn't matter anymore.
I get, yeah. And I used to listen to Edge and Christian's podcast while it was still on the air. And they talked about getting like your body has to get calloused again. Like if you take time off, like it's like, oh, those first couple bumps hurt. But then after you start getting back in there, it's kind of like building up a callus. And I was just like, that's interesting. That's an interesting way to think about it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you're just like, that just looks painful. Doing that every day, especially when they hit the rail, you kind of see it on TV and you're like, somebody gets thrown in the guardrail. You're like, all right, how bad could that be? You basically turned and like you ran to it, turned and leaned up against it. No, they are like plowing through it full speed. And I was just like, dude, that looks a lot different on TV than it does in real life.
It's crazy. I used to go to these like local indie events here in Vancouver. It's called East Elite Canadian Championship Wrestling, ECCW.
Okay.
And I went for like me and my buddy Pascal Bobka from Germany. We used to go for like 2 or 3 shows every few months. But there's this one guy who has braids all the way. I think they call him the Bird. He's like this native dude, indigenous dude, who's like his hair is all the way down to his legs, and he's never had a haircut, but he's braided, and he jumps off the ropes on everybody. They would do one of those spots where like they jump off on everybody.
Yeah.
And I could see this dude's head hit like right next to me, hit the freaking concrete hard, and like you could see him, like his eyes go crazy for like a few minutes, and he goes up and he wakes up, and I had a drink in my hand. I was like, dude, you want some?
Yeah.
And he takes a sip and he's like, thanks, but this is pre-COVID, man. This is like February 2019 or so. But I could hear, I heard his head hit the ground. I was like, damn, how's this guy alive?
Yeah, especially, yeah. And that's how basically all the CT stuff happens, concussion protocols and everything. That's what I'm worried about Christian, because that was his problem. Getting cleared was all his concussion stuff. So I'm glad he's in there with like Matt Hardy and stuff, guys that are going to take care of him.
Yeah.
Well, for now,
hopefully,
until he like has a match with like Penta, and then he dies, which would be terrible. But like
that was a cool spot too, with Pac and all them coming out with the triangle.
They actually had a pretty big pop too. You know what? Something that wasn't seen also that had a good pop, a decent pop, but not a big pop. Tony Khan came out right before, right before Cody did. So QT Marshall was out to try to rile up the crowd right before they went into the whole Cody thing, because they basically ended. Now, and here's what I don't understand. They were ending dark with this segment with QT Marshall coming out and saying all this stuff. Shut up. Telling the crowd, shut up, and this and that. You guys suck. We're here for this. And Tony Khan comes out, right? And it's basically, we don't need you here. You can go back. He's like, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, Tony. And basically cut him off at the knees. Later on Dynamite, he's like, earlier Tony Schiavone did this. And I'm like, Tony Schiavone? That's Tony Khan. You might want to get your Tonys in order, man. So they're like, next week, he's going to meet with Tony Schiavone. And I'm like, I don't know if that's
wrong
a production
Tony.
mistake or, I'm like, wrong Tony, man. Don't pick a fight with one of them. One of them signs your paychecks, bro. I was a little bummed out, and I know Little Chef was bummed out. No Bucks.
Oh yeah.
And we did.
They had because they were the Bucks were on last week, right, for Fighter Fest night 1.
Yeah, but I figured that at least the company Kenny down to the ring or something like that, make an appearance, thinking,
I guess now that they're on the road, they got to kind of rotate everybody each week to keep the schedules easy with travel and, rest.
Yeah. Well, that, and when you think about it, how many guys do they have on the roster, and how much TV?
They have a lot now. They have a lot of guys now.
But with Rampage,
that's one thing. That's actually one thing. Yeah, that's true. So until Rampage kicks in, I was actually worried about how these, like, there's literally signing everybody that gets out of WWE or like, a lot of these indie guys. And then, Big Show and Mark Henry are there. What I'd like to see is like these Mark Henry and Big Show getting into like not being actually managers for these shows, but like some sort of an authority figure. Yeah.
Like being able, I like being like commissioner, something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Like kind of what Joe is doing in NXT.
Yeah, well, Joe's going to wrestle now, I guess.
Joe's going to wrestle for sure.
And I was like, I honestly, I don't think they would have kept him around if he wasn't gonna.
Yeah.
Because, was he great on commentary? Yeah. Yeah, he was. But Joe, as a performer, is incredible.
Yep.
Like, you can't.
I hated
he was going to go somewhere.
Every time they have him, they had such shitty booking on him in WWE. Like, they had him lose to everybody.
Yeah. He shouldn't have lost to Brock in Dallas. I'll just say that.
That was a good match too.
And then they just kind of,
which is rare to say with Brock Lesnar, because it's like he's just gonna run through people. But only the only two opponents that Lesnar had that I feel like he respected enough to have a good match out of them was AJ Styles and Joe.
I think he had a good one with Daniel Bryan though.
The Daniel Bryan, I don't know.
He gave him a lot in that match. I think that's true. He gave him a lot. I was like, wow, okay, Brock came to work. That was cool.
Which is
rare. But the AJ match was awesome.
The AJ match was great.
When he caught him.
Made you believe.
Gosh, yeah. I was like, oh, this is going down. But the Kofi squash last year was just kind of,
that was brutal. Kofi squash this year was brutal too.
Yeah. But you got to believe that's going to feed into a Big E storyline.
Yeah, so that would be cool. If he could, Big E should like fight for his brother's
honor. Like,
cool.
let's have Lashley be this dominant champion. And honestly, I've been reading all this stuff about Lashley. I love it. Like and when they said, hey, he won the belt and he kept it at Mania, I was just like, good.
I was surprised.
Having a good long time. Yeah. Good. Did you think that McIntyre was going to win it back?
I didn't think so. I didn't want it, but I thought they were going to give it back to Drew, but I didn't want it. and I'm glad